Welcome to the Cardinals Squad Show. And it's Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, host of Locked On Phoenix Suns. And the Arizona Cardinals free agency is looming. They've just cut Dalvin Tomlinson. Could they be in play for a major splash on the defensive line or potentially somewhere else? We'll talk about it.
Jamil Douglas, former NFL offensive lineman. Could the Cardinals pivot from Malik Willis and find another quarterback in free agency?
Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. If Jimmy Garoppolo starts for the Cardinals in 2026, no. Go, Ben. Just go. Just go. Just hit it. Just hit the button. Just hit the button.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome in to this.
The boys
version.
are back
Can
in
people
town.
Not hear me still?
I can.
Awesome.
Hear you.
I can hear you.
I'm gonna let you guys.
I can hear you.
Cool. Welcome into Cardinals Squad Show. Alex Clancy, Jamil Douglas for right now. Thanks for making Squad Show your first listen. We've got a lot to talk about today. So many names. The releasing of players has begun. The crazy part about this is like you never realize how fast it is until you're in it the day of, and it's like, oh no, everybody's getting released. People are trying to get under the cap, and the Cardinals could reap the benefits. We'll talk about it. Could the Cardinals pivot away from Malik Willis because of that? What if they have to spend more money in free agency, or what if they have the opportunity to bring in guys in free agency and make the sacrificial lamb Malik Willis for not getting paid for the Cardinals? Terrell Austin, the former Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coordinator since 2022, now is a senior assistant for the Cardinals. It's a massive thing for them. We'll talk about a little bit more in depth about him and how he can help guys like Will Johnson and Denzel Burke, especially coming from his DB background. And listen, there are rumblings that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be an Arizona Cardinal next year. I'm just going to say barf on that, but we'll talk about that in the final segment as we wrap up. Jamil, let me ask you this before we pivot to the Cardinals, their holes that they need filled and players that are slowly starting to be released. What is free agency like for a player? Like from day one, you have a feeling you're going to get cut. Maybe you'll be a cap casualty because of how your contract structure, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are human beings, and people kind of take that for granted. It's like, well, my life's upside down. I got to sell my house, or I got to do this. We got to move my family. What's free agency like for a player when legal tampering starts and it goes haywire?
Well, look, I'll tell you from my experience, and I wouldn't say I was ever a high priority free agent signing. And so there's a little bit of waiting around when you are one of those guys that, you've been the backup swing guy or whatever the case may be. And so my experience within free agency is, you see the big money guys get theirs first couple of days, and then it kind of trickles down, and you are now talking to teams. Your agent is calling you. You're just waiting on that phone call to figure out which team is putting the best deal on the table for you. And so in my experience with free agency, and it's different with a lot of guys, right? Some of these guys are restricted free agents. Some are unrestricted. Some are going to get big money. Some are going to get league minimum. And that's just the reality of it. So it's nerve-wracking for a lot of guys, but it's exciting for sure, because you're now either getting a fresh start or you're getting, new life somewhere. And it's a good thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And when you look at where the Cardinals were last year, I got to ask this, and obviously the NFL player is not one entity. Everybody thinks differently about different things, has different, wants and needs. Maybe somebody hasn't gotten paid yet and they will take the most money and they'll go to the worst, the worst situation. They'll give them the most money, or they've already made their money and they want to go be with a cohesive team who could win a ring. Like when think of you as a player, you saw the Arizona Cardinals last year. Is there any drive like on the defensive side of the ball to be like, you know what? It was injuries. Like, do players think that it's like, obviously this team was injured and that's probably why they suffered so much? Or is it like, it's a dysfunctional organization, it's always going to be a dysfunctional organization, keep me away?
What's crazy? I don't think that players look at it that way. I think in terms of, they know, okay, of course, yeah, this team had injuries, and maybe it's a dysfunctional organization, right? But if the check is right, a lot of these guys are willing to say that they believe they're the guy that could go in and change it. And so and a lot of it is based around they've got a new head coach, right? So when players are evaluating where they may go, and it's the AZ Cardinals, they're flying out here, they're kind of putting last year all behind them, and it's a wash because Jonathan Gannon is no longer here. There's a new sheriff in town in terms of, LaFleur, and people are believing that there's this new hype. So I think players kind of give teams a blank slate when a new head coach has walked in the building. They obviously know what it is from an ownership standpoint, but when it comes to playing, they're a little more open-minded in terms of signing a contract to come here.
Yeah, and Ben, as you unmute yourself before you say something without being muted, I was just asking Jamil what it was like from a player's perspective going into free agency when legal tampering starts, the new league year and all that stuff, with it just being Crazy Town USA, and how much of an impact a dysfunctional organization has on somebody wanting to come play here. And it's fascinating because we're going to start to see big names. Like last year, not great for free agency. There was Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and things like that, but there are going to be a lot of linemen on both sides of the ball that can be had. It's going to be, for a pretty penny, but, they're starting to spread some cap space. They are going to release Dalvin Tomlinson. They released ADG yesterday. Like there's other guys they can drop, like Sean Murphy-Bunting, who can save them $7 million. Like the Cardinals are going to have $60 million to spend, and it's going to get real serious real quick here.
Do we think that that's the right thing to do? Apologies to everyone for me showing up late. Headphones just decided to die. But
you were a cap casualty. They said you were too expensive for your production. You were overpaid, brother.
I was Justin Jones. I was Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols. That's what I was. Okay, that's fine. What's it like? I'm not even going to go down that route. Anyways, with all the guys that they have been cutting, maybe you can make the argument for like an Akeem Davis Gaither or whoever, right? But Dalvin Tomlinson didn't feel like someone that they should be cutting just outright. Like I understand he made a lot of money, but that was real depth on the defensive line. And I like some of the things he did. Was he a little overpaid? Sure. But I guess are the Cardinals just going to spend all $70 million that they're likely going to have when free agency begins? Like, should they just be cutting all these guys, even if we feel like some of them have some value? It's one of the reasons why, like, I don't know if I'd cut James Conner. He's a real leader in that locker room. Is he overpaid? Maybe slightly, but why are we just cutting guys to cut guys?
Well, go ahead.
I feel like, there's also this notion that goes on behind the scenes in terms of restructuring contracts when you cut guys that are overpaid. And sometimes guys are not willing to restructure their deal. An older vet like Tomlinson may have been approached like that and said, we want to restructure your deal so we can free up some cap space or whatever the case may be. He doesn't want to take a pay cut. He believes that, he deserves what he signed for. And so there's another layer to it when you talk about this time of year, freeing up money to kind of put yourself in a good position in free agency.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, well, no, I've got a different question I'll ask. So I'll let you finish this
so
first.
Here's the thing. What that makes me think is they're going to make a splash on the offensive line. It's like, yes, Dalvin Tomlinson was fine last year. He wasn't a world beater. Their run defense wasn't great for large stretches. And I know it was all out of whack because, there was injuries and there was just bad play, whatever. With all of the offensive tackles, the right tackles especially, that are now being released. I mean, Braden Smith from Indy, like they're already made dudes where if you're like, I can give him the Jonah Williams package where it's, about $20 million a year. It's like the only way to make that possible is if you cut Dalvin Tomlinson. I would cut Dalvin Tomlinson. And then you can draft an interior defensive lineman or two with this draft that is very D-line heavy. Like for me, and I want to just pull this up real quick, put up what Brian put down, you think Monty's job is on the line?
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I don't think Monti Ossenfort's job is on the line. Now, I'm not doing that to be combative. This is why, to answer your question, so the question is for those who aren't watching, do you think Monty's job is on the line? He isn't going to spend every nickel. It's a good question. I think contextually speaking, though, this roster, when healthy, is far superior than what it looks like at the end of last season. So if everything works out and, you get the natural progression of Walter Nolan, if he makes it, after the first month, and Will Johnson and Denzel Burke, and a run game, they're closer than what their roster looks like right now. So I don't think Monty's out. I think this is a 2-year plan. You don't extend him, but this is just jet fuel for next season. You have one great offseason, then you're back. Like, I don't think that they're that significantly far off. They just have to figure out the quarterback position, obviously, which is the biggest deal.
I think in the NFL, free agency is really tricky. I think a lot of the times it truly is fool's gold. I've never been a guy that has advocated to spend all the dollars you have. I've actually been more interested in accumulating your cap space, drafting correctly, and paying those players. I forgot who it was, someone that tweeted out that also covers the Cardinals. I forgot who it was, but they tweeted out something like, oh, another big name being added to the free agency list for the Cardinals in the offensive line. And my point of it was, well, they're being released for a reason. Either a cap casualty, they don't feel like that player is reaching the production for the contract that they have, or they're getting older. And so where is kind of, Jimmy, I'm actually really curious what you think about this. Where is kind of your thought process on what is a healthy way to spend in free agency? Because for sure, there is absolutely 1, 2, 3, 4 game changers out there, but a lot of it does feel like a bit of fool's gold in free agency.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my belief around it is like, if you don't land the guy, which is, like you said, there's a handful of them, if that, you got to be smart in terms of building depth, right? Like, building the offensive line. I think I'm a little scared that Braden Smith was released and that he's possibly gonna be a Cardinal, because I want them to draft a young tackle. And if they don't do that and they sign someone for $15-20 million a year, that is going. I feel like when you talk about the numbers, it puts you in a weird spot, right? We all know if you hit on a draft pick and they're capable of playing, that it helps you in terms of the cap. And so I'm of the belief that if you can't get the guy that you want, you got to be smart in terms of building depth. And hopefully the Cardinals, this is like the first step to kind of rebuilding and like cleaning out your closet, essentially. There's going to be guys that you got to cut ties with that, the fan base may say, oh, they shouldn't do that. But you have to, in terms of getting your coinage right, to spend on the right guys that you believe fit your system, and believe that, they'll match I think the Dalvin Tomlinson thing is more about style of play than it is production and things like that. Like, they may be wanting to get a little quicker, a little twitchier up front. And so that's my belief in terms of free agency.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, like, you can thank the NBA for this. I mean, do you remember the days where the Champ Bailey for Clinton Portis trade like broke football because trades player for player never happened and free agency wasn't really that much of a thing? And then you see James Harden, go to Houston, and then he goes to Brooklyn, then he goes to here, and then, Paul George goes to here, and then everybody's going everywhere in the NBA. Then obviously the football adapted to that. And now it's like Looney Tunes. So you're looking at GMs with their cap. It's like, if we could afford to keep them, we would, but it's not worth fighting when you can draft a guy or bring a guy in for cheaper. Like, the thought process behind building a roster has completely changed. So I don't think that every single way, Jonah Williams was a bad example because he got hurt the first second he was an Arizona Cardinal, but like, you're going to get good juice from free agency. You may have to pay a little bit more for it, but the cap's balloon. The Cardinals aren't in cap hell. It's not something that you necessarily need to do. I agree with you about the offensive line. I've been Francis Maui Noah the entire time. I've been right tackle, okay? If you want to bring in Joel Petonio to play right guard and draft a right tackle, fine. But they need to do 3 things, either through the draft or free agency. They need to bring in 3 offensive linemen this offseason. There's always going to be good offensive linemen, always, in the draft. So it's just a matter of, do you want to spend more of your money on proven talent and just hope that it works, or draft a guy who looks potentially to be a guard, in the NFL level, or, if he moves outside and he's a guy that can be right tackle for this team? I don't know. And no, I moved off Spencer Fano when I realized he had shorter arms than Will Campbell. Okay, get off my ass.
My idea of free agency, and this is kind of what it's always been, is I see free agency as a Band-Aid for non-premium positions. So maybe off-ball linebacker, I don't know, maybe some depth on the defensive line, maybe a secondary corner. I find it a really bad way of team building, trying to fix your team. This is what Steve Keim did all the time. He messed up in free agency, so we'd go sign Marcus Cooper, have that be a Band-Aid for the year. It's one of the reasons where, like, I think Jamil brings up a really good point about Braden Smith, where, yeah, I like Braden Smith. He's older. It's a Band-Aid at the right tackle spot. You're going to have to address it at some point, which is why, again, with Clancy, yeah, do I want a guy who I think is a little bit more talented at the D-line spot? Sure, but, like, I'm absolutely okay with the Cardinals going offensive line in the first round because they've been doing the Band-Aid thing for so many years. Like, that's exactly what Jonah Williams was. And so I think if I pose the question as this, would you rather the Cardinals extend Michael Wilson this offseason or go sign Braden Smith? I think the thing I would always try to do is I would always be interested in keeping my own guys. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, yeah, but you're going to give Michael Wilson money no matter what. So it's not going to be either or.
No, but no. I'm just saying that's what I would practice. That's what my practice is.
But the Cardinals haven't drafted well outside of Monti, like for 15 years. So they weren't able to do that. Now, as we're going to go to the break here, I'll take us out. Like, is Malik Willis, could he be a sacrificial lamb because the Cardinals want to allocate more money into free agency with bigger names out there? That's the big question for me. Can you roll with Jacoby Brissett for pennies on the dollar and sign, bigger guys elsewhere and draft your quarterback next year?
It's a fair argument to make. There was some educated guessing going on over at ESPN on what Malik Willis could get. Also, could it just be something that the Cardinals are priced out of and decide to pivot off of Malik Willis? Let's talk about that next. First, today's episode is brought to you by the fine folks over at Game Time. We live in a world where we can stream anything, order food in minutes, carry supercomputers in our pockets, and somehow buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. Hidden fees, jumping prices, endless steps. There has to be a better way. That's why I use Game Time. It gives fans the advantage and makes getting tickets simple, whether it's NFL games, concerts, comedy concerts, whatever you're into. I jump onto the app to check out tickets for upcoming games on all the time, and it takes me minutes, guys. This is how I take my nephews to games. This is how whenever me and my wife want to go to an impromptu concert, we use Game Time. I love the fact that you could see the pricing, including fees. I hate seeing surprise fees at checkouts. You can also see the zone spot deals where you pick a section and Game Time picks the seats. 2 taps and you have great seats locked in, fast, easy, and well done. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use and redeem code LOCKEDON NBA LOCKEDON. That is locked on LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Having some trouble spelling there for our great people. Got to the Rihanna umbrella there for
loop for a minute.
Listen, that's I was doing the NBA read for Locked On Suns.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing you trying to figure that out. I ain't gonna lie. You did a good job.
This is why I got released there for a second. Before we go into what ESPN's educated guessing was for Malik Willis's contract, given what the Cardinals seem, it seems like their plan could be in free agency. Clancy, you kind of threw out this topic idea to us. Do you think they might just get priced out of Malik Willis?
Well, it depends on what you want it to be. Like, they're not going to win a lot of games in 2026, but that doesn't mean that they can't build the hell out of this roster for 2027. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. Like, Malik Willis, like Kurt Warner went through, he did a bunch of film on him, and like, to answer your question, could they get priced out of Malik Willis? I think they're arguing against themselves. I think they're competing against themselves. Unless it's Miami, or I'd rather have Geno Smith if I were Miami. Geno Smith being released, that offensive line was terrible. Nobody could have done that back there. Like, Geno Smith looked bad, but the offensive line didn't help. What?
Geno,
say it. You laughed. Say it. You don't get to laugh and then walk away. What were you going to say?
I would not
playoff games.
I do not want him in my locker room as I'm trying to rebuild culture.
I'm not saying for the Cardinals.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
no, I'm saying for Miami. If I were Miami, I'd rather have Geno Smith.
I still wouldn't, but yeah.
Yeah, they love that culture over
to
there.
price him out, I mean, obviously the numbers have dipped. It's no longer 3 for $100 million, and nothing has changed. So you got to find the market, and the market's now. Ben, you've got the numbers you'll bring up in a second, but like, I'd rather bring in a great right guard and have a quarterback who's making $5 million a year. That's what it comes down to. So pricing out, maybe not, but misallocation of funds, yeah, maybe. I'd rather him elsewhere.
Yeah. It's such a touchy subject in terms of like, we know that Jacoby Brissett can make every throw, right? The unfortunate part is the mobility thing. He's a tree back there, but he has the arm to do everything that you want out of a quarterback. And so my thing is, if you don't get Malik Willis, it's not the end of the world, because I believe that Jacoby can operate, better, if not just as good as Malik Willis in any offense, just given the experience. If the Malik Willis thing is it's almost fool's gold, because we got this little sample size, right? And seeing the highlights of, him playing for the Packers, it's enticing. You believe that he's able to operate under an offense in which I truly believe the Cardinals have better weapons outside than what the Packers do, and they're going to be a much tougher team to cover, given the right scheme and all the motions that a LaFleur can bring into this offense. Like, it's going to complicate things a lot more for defenses. And so, watching a Malik Willis operate with, I wouldn't say a tier 2 type of receiving core, but he would take a step up, right, if he comes to the Cardinals. And I think that piece is intriguing. I just don't feel like you have to hit a home run, right, and land Malik Willis. That's all I'm saying. It would be nice. I think, obviously the market has dropped and it's kind of stabilized. At first it was talking 100 mil. We're not nowhere near that. And so it seems like something that you would be willing to do now, because you're not putting that number out there, but you don't have to, if you ask me.
So when it came out a week ago and it seems like agents were doing some peddling over at the combine, and during, Radio Row 2 weeks before that, Malik Willis could get all this money. And I posed the question. I was like, who's going to drive up this market? There's no team out there with the type of money the Arizona Cardinals have, and also seemingly kind of have a GM on the hot seat that's trying to save their job. Dan Graziano, insider over at ESPN, predicts Malik Willis will land with the Arizona Cardinals. The contract he proposed was 2 years, $44 million with $32 million guaranteed. We were talking about 3 years, $90 million, 3 years, $80 million.
Yeah, and that was disgusting.
It was gross, and I was still making the argument to do it because I think the risk was worth it. Now I really think the risk is worth it. That really hasn't changed much from my front. I saw Clancy tweet something out. Seems like you're still not budget on this, Clancy. You're still like, roll with Jacoby.
It's not like everybody's talking about the money. What about the player and how it's going to impact the offense? Like, does that matter? That should matter most. And there's no world that Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr. are going to eat, and this offense is going to have an impact like it can with Malik Willis at quarterback. And I'm only saying that. This isn't like, knock on the young man without getting a shot. That's not it. It's like, we just have the empirical evidence that we do have lends one to think he's not going to be a volume guy, and he's going to be running more, which is fine for different offenses who can utilize that maybe with a running back. But I just don't. They have too many weapons on the outside to have Malik Willis be the quarterback. I know he throws a nice deep ball. He's never won a game where he's thrown for more than 21 passes. It's like, what are we doing here? This is hopium, and it could work out.
Yeah, but it is definitely.
I would say. I just want to interject on that really quickly, Clancy. Did they all truly eat? with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback? And if they did, it was because he threw 50 times and they had no run game. Are they going to do that again next year? Or is the offense going to look more like, I mean, Jamil, tell me if I'm wrong here. You want Jacoby Brissett throwing 26 times, not 35 times, right?
For sure.
So that's why when that argument comes in, like, I get what Clancy's saying, and he might be right, but I don't think Jacoby's going to have that same sort of offense and trigger that he had last year because they were down by 21 points at halftime. I mean, 7 games of losing by blowouts. It was like 40. Those teams scored 40 points on him. So that's kind of where I would go with that.
It's not good. There's no good options. So it's not like it's great. And then listen, if you sign Malik and he becomes a lottery ticket, I hope that I eat my words. Like, I don't, regardless of what some people think, I don't want to see this team.
For sure.
Business is better when they're good. Okay.
Yeah.
My mental health is better when they're good. Okay. Been doing this. This is my 10th season on this damn podcast. My mental health is better when they're good. I promise. But it's like the lesser of all evils. I don't know what that is. There's upsides to both. Contract for Jacoby Brissett. If you find lightning in a bottle, great. And I saw in the cat, you could draft a quarterback also. The Ty Simpson thing. Now it's coming. Everybody's like, I knew there's one more quarterback he'll be a first round pick by the time it's all said and done. Ty Simpson will be. This happens every offseason. So the Cardinals aren't going to be able to get him. But I don't know, man.
Can you imagine if they traded up for Ty Simpson? My God.
Listen, if they did, whatever. We have no idea. Jamil, for you, blocking for a quarterback, when you have a guy like Malik Willis, okay, it's option 1, option 2, run. Like, it's not like I'm going to stand in the pocket and take hits and do the thing. Like, he's evasive. He's very quick. He's a very, he's a good runner of the football. Is it easier to offensive line for Jacoby or for Malik Willis?
Oh, Jacoby, 100%. Listen, we've all said it. The sample size that we've gotten from Malik Willis has been minute in terms of the film. We don't know if he's a guy that over the course of 17 games will stand in there and, deliver a shot and take the hit and get back up and run the next play. And so if I'm thinking from a logical mind and what's the safest bet, it's to run it with Jacoby. If I believe that this guy, through talking to, if I'm, a LaFleur and I'm talking to my brother, and I believe that this guy is more than capable of running an offense, and you've seen him day in and day out, then you go ahead and you pull the trigger. But it is much easier blocking for a guy like Jacoby. As immobile as he is very nimble in terms of escaping a sack, stepping up in the pocket. We saw it all last year. I mean, he was getting blasted and delivering the ball. And so I have to think that they're going to be better this year up front. I have to think that guys are going to get open quicker. And, that's going to serve any quarterback back there. But the safest option is Jacoby if we're talking just off of the game film that we've seen between the two quarterbacks.
Jamil, let's say that they draft Francis Maui Noah, and they've obviously got Paris Johnson Jr. there, and they got Yoda Froll. Let's say that they pay a guard. I'm just talking right now. How much better do you think the offensive line can be next year? Significant? Because if not, isn't there an argument to be made? You do kind of want Malik Willis back there because he can run around, make things happen, make guys miss, and help supplement that. Or as an offensive lineman, would you prefer Jacoby?
Well, look, I'll tell you this. If my offensive line isn't good, I don't care who's back there. Like there's the sense of, like I said, we have not seen Malik Willis play 17 games. And so there's this thing where you really got to get used to getting hit. And, 17 games is a long season. And if our offensive line isn't good, quarterbacks tend to, the quarterbacks that haven't stood in there and taken those hits, they tend to kind of shy away from that, especially a young guy. And so I think, it's hard for me to say that, if our offensive line isn't good, I want Malik Willis because he's capable of, dodging a sack or dodging a pressure. We don't know if he's capable of standing in there, keeping his composure, keeping his eyes down the field, and not just saying, I'm going to rely on my ability to run and miss the big play down the field because he's been getting hit.
So here's the question, either or, Ben, that I know you were trying for. I'm here for you. And then your brain can melt, and then we can go to the next segment. Would you rather have Malik Willis or the best interior offensive lineman for the same money?
Probably the best interior offensive lineman.
That was the point of this segment. Like that's what, and I'm not saying if you said Malik Willis, that's fine, but that's the differentiator. It's like, it's not like it's a coach where it doesn't act against the cap. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle, or you succumb to understanding you're not going to win more than 3 or 4 games this year. You plan for the future, but you build the hell out of everything else, and then you have a rookie scale contract that you can utilize with all of the other guys who are making all the money. That's all. Like, it's a backwards way to build it, but right now everything is backwards for the Cardinals. I just want to get great football players in positions of need for the Cardinals, and Malik Willis isn't going to be worth the money when you can use that money elsewhere.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say,
yeah,
at that point, like, I'm just taking the best guard that is definitely more of a for sure thing than Malik Willis. So that's why I say that. I still am okay with the gamble of Malik Willis, and I don't want to pivot off that, but I get what Clancy's saying there. So I just don't want to super contradict myself there, but go for it, Jamil.
I just want to reiterate where the league is right now, and the best teams that are being competitive every single year are working on their offensive front and their defensive front. They're bolstering their offensive line. The Bears lost their center. They just traded for the Patriots center maybe 10 minutes ago. And so there is an urgency in these teams that believe they can win, that they have to be able to protect. And regardless of who's back there, that's what's winning right now. So hopefully the Cardinals can follow suit, especially in this division, given the defensive lines.
Not a lot of good news has been happening for the Arizona Cardinals over the last couple of weeks, whether it's, failed report card grades, the release of Kyler Murray. Cardinals made a big boy hire today that I think everyone can agree with. Okay, now we're talking here. Let's talk about that, how it affects the defense, and let's do it next. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with stacks of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really got your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in, meeting a real person, and knowing your taxes are being handled correctly. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. The Arizona Cardinals made a hire today, kind of a surprising hire for the Arizona Cardinals. You kind of felt like their staff was mostly finalized, but today, Jeremy Fowler reported former Steelers defensive coordinator Terrell Austin is joining the Arizona Cardinals staff as a senior assistant. More experience of a new head coach for Mike LaFleur. And this is from some guy at Clancy's Corner on Twitter.
That's me.
He tweeted out today, Terrell Austin has been the Pittsburgh Steelers DC since 2022, or the breakdown of points of games allowed since 2022. In 2022, they were 10th. 2023, they were 8th. 2024, they were 7th. 2025, that would be this year, they were 17th. The Arizona Cardinals, as you pointed out, are giving up an average of 26 points per game in that same time span. Jamil, I don't know if you've ever crossed paths with Terrell Austin, what your thought process on this, what people have said, what the gossip is around him. It seems like unanimously, though, most Cardinals fans just feel someone from it's not like, it's basically like you ask for Mike Tomlin and they say you have Mike Tomlin at home, and this is kind of what you got, the great value version of that. What was your reaction to that?
No, first off, I have never crossed paths with him at all. And when I saw the news I looked it up, obviously, just to see who he was and what his track record has been. I think this hire is just a reality of where Nick Rallis is. Like I'm not overthinking. Well, no, I don't want to say that in a bad sense. I'm not overthinking it. I think that he's a young guy. Last year they didn't perform, right? Was it injuries? Was it scheme? Probably a little bit of both. And so I think if I'm Mike LaFleur, I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's with this hire. This is obviously a guy that is capable of calling a defense. He's been in the league over 20 something years, and so this is just where Nick Rallis is. He's a young defensive coordinator. He's got a couple chinks in his armor in terms of calling it. I don't know who I have. I need someone to kind of oversee and be in his ear watching film and being able to, I'm sure Clancy will speak about this as well. He's been around some of the best DBs in terms of coaching them. And so the Cardinals, we've talked about it all the time. Their strength right now is their defensive back room. They've got, the possibility of them being really good has been on the table. And so I don't think this is a bad hire for Nick Rallis. I think this is a good hire for him if he's who we think he is, one of the young, bright minds on the defensive side of the ball. And it's just the reality of where he is.
It is a little bit of it feels like a little bit of a bad thing though for Nick Rallis, right? Because you got two guys now that you feel like are nipping at the heels of Nick Rallis and Peter Kwiatkowski and
I feel like if you look at it like that, or you can look at it, if I'm Nick Rallis, I'm looking at it as, okay, I've got a great supporting staff. I'm going to lean on these two guys to get me in the best position to call the defense. And so I think he should look at it like that. And I think hopefully he doesn't look at it as a threat, because then you're one call away from not calling it again.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it as a threat. Obviously, that's the interesting part where it's like, the heir apparent, I call it the Jack Del Rio effect, where Jack Del Rio would just take DC jobs because he knew that coach was under it and he was take over the head coaching role. He did it in Jacksonville. He did it with the Raiders. But I don't think this is that. This isn't the Nathaniel Hackett for the defense, is what it is. So Mike LaFleur has Nathaniel 100%. Hackett. This is Nathaniel Hackett for the defense. I will say though, and for those that don't know, he chalked it up, and Jamil alluded to it too. He got his he had his druthers in the DB room. So he was the Cardinals DB coach when they went to the Super Bowl. So he has some, relationship with Michael Bidwell. Why the hell he'd come here, I don't know. I don't know. But he was around Darius Slay in Detroit when he was having his best years. He was around Minka Fitzpatrick in Pittsburgh, obviously, when he would have his best years. And when you have guys like Denzel Burke and Will Johnson and Budda Baker and Dadrian Taylor-Demerson and Garrett Williams, this guy is going to be gold for them. This guy will be absolute gold. Just because he's a senior assistant, he's not going to be calling the plays. That's fine. The one thing that I don't know if it will happen is if he can adjust to seeing 7 DBs on the field at times that Nick Rallis goes banana sandwich. This defense doesn't have a base. It kind of does, but we saw so many safeties and corners on the field at one time last year, some dropping into playing the off-ball backer spot.
Are we thinking that is going to be the scheme?
No way. They've got to change it up.
I just think, first of all, a lot of it was because of injuries. With Garrett Williams out, then Jalen Thompson out. You don't have a nickel corner at that point when they're both out, so you had to be creative. I think that Nick Rallis was calling plays scared with Jonathan Gannon. I think that they know enough about him to know that on his own, without somebody looking over his shoulder, I'm not blaming Jonathan Gannon. I think this is going to be the first year of the Nick Rallis defense experience. And you need as much experience around him to be able to help that. This dude's almost 30 years older.
Yeah.
That helps. We thought Wink Martindale could be the guy. This is close enough. It's who cares? Bring a dude who's been in the AFC North and had top 10 defenses year in and year out. The last thing I'll say, we give Nick Rallis a pass because the offense was so bad last year. When was the last time Pittsburgh had a good quarterback? And they're still top 10 in defense. That is the antithesis to all of our arguments that Nick Rallis, should get a pass, and me included.
I want to talk about, as well as Mike LaFleur. After this hiring, I'm actually kind of impressed what Michael LaFleur ended up doing with the Cardinals coaching staff. I was one of the few people, as soon as they hired Nathaniel Hackett, I had absolutely zero issues with it. In fact, I applauded it because it's an adult in the room who speaks the same language as Mike LaFleur. He's not running his offense. He's not calling the plays. We've seen him do well with the Aaron Rodgers experience before as the OC in Green Bay. Then you see Matt Schaub, the quarterback coach. I think that was, again, a superb hire who will see what he can do there. Peter Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator over at Texas that got sick of recruiting, is now over at and is now with the Arizona Cardinals. And then Terrell Austin coming over as a senior assistant. Like, Clancy's right. That's the perfect comparison. This is as close to Wink Martindale as you're going to get. Mike LaFleur has done a pretty good job building this staff. This is what I'll put it as. Like, it's not a top 10 staff in football, but like, he made chicken salad at a chicken you-know-what, where I'm modestly surprised the staff he's put together, Clancy.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know if Monti Ossenfort should get more credit. I don't know where the pie is. Michael LaFleur, like, what ties does Michael LaFleur have to Terrell Austin? I think this is more of a this could have been a Michael Bidwell play. This could have been a Monti Ossenfort play. Like,
Why couldn't JG do it? That's my point.
They thought they had their guys.
Well, no, they got a lot of young guys in there.
I mean, Jeff Rogers.
They had a lot of young guys. Drew Petzing, Nick Rawless. Like, it was Drew Terrell was the passing game corner. Like, there's a lot of young guys here.
Do you think a first-time head coach should be able to pick their staff, Jamil?
Yes, no. Yes, no. To an extent. I do believe that they should be able to pick their coordinators, because I feel like you almost cuff them if you don't allow them to. There's like, well, they weren't able to pick their guys. So I do believe they should be able to pick their coordinators. But I also think first-time head coaches need a senior assistant as well, just to kind of handle logistics. There's a lot with these coaches that when you become a first-time head coach, you're not used to handling the faculty stuff, the everything that comes with it. It's so much. So I think there needs to be someone there to help them.
Yeah, and tell me this real quick. So not obviously, in practice, you've got your position coaches who spend more time with obviously their position groups, et cetera. How much does a defensive specialist like this really impact the team? Like, are we glamorizing this, or is this guy going to be watching film every day with the DBs and everything like that? Or is that an overstep from a guy who, like, the metaphor, the simile is like an NBA assistant coach who's sitting in the second row of seats, not the front row of seats.
Yeah, no. Look, I think in this situation, I think he's going to be watching film with Nick Rawless, and they're going to be bouncing ideas off of each other, and he's going to say what he sees, and they're just going to cross-check their work, and I feel like that is good when you have a young defensive coordinator that you don't really know exactly how he will tie everything together for his first time really calling it under Jonathan from being under Jonathan Gannon. So this is someone that's going to help out a lot. He's going to be, when the defense is on the field in practice, he'll be standing in the back behind the defense, and being that second voice while Nick Rawless is calling it. So this is someone that's he's gonna have an imprint, in terms of how Nick Rawless evaluates the defense as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, is this?
Oh, sorry,
will that make as much of an impact as we think it could? Like, or is this really just Nick Rawless? You can give them the ingredients, but Nick Rawless needs to bake the cake.
I think it's going to have a big impact. He can't see everything as a coordinator. That's just the reality of it. Good coordinators have, good assistant coaches under them. And so he needs that. And like you said, the Steelers haven't had a top 10 quarterback in years, but they've always been respected for defense. And so if that guy can bring 50% of the knowledge that he picked up from, being with the Steelers, that adds to the ability of doing different things for Nick Rawless on defense that he may have not had in prior years.
What do we feel like? Let's stay on the defense really quickly. What do we feel like the identity of the Cardinals defense is going to be this year? We don't like last year. I'm not talking about schemes. Last year, the Cardinals, like Clancy had said, he didn't say this exactly, but he was alluding to it. The Cardinals were base 4-3 defense, but they were not a 4-3 defense. We're throwing out whatever healthy bodies we have to make something work that we, but like, what do we think the identity is going to be? Because I think Brian in the chat makes a really good point. I think a lot of times last year, they were playing a lot of soft zone where in years past, maybe they go after the quarterback. Do we like, I guess you kind of mentioned at the beginning, are they going to let Nick Rawless do what he did last year and claim it was injuries why it didn't work? Or is he going to have to change this 180 on its head because the Cardinals said that didn't work?
I don't know. I have to, we got to wait. You got to ask me that after free agency in the draft. That'll kind of tell me what, who they pay money to will tell me exactly where their head's at. If I'm going based off of what they have now, I think it's going to look different. Because it has to. Like it can't look the same. It can't be the same coverages and the same zones. It just can't be. And so I believe they're going to be healthy this year, or they're going to go into the year healthier than they were, and that's going to allow them to play a little more different variations of man and blitz a little more, the things that we became accustomed to. So we'll see.
Yeah, and one last thing before we pivot, because I agree. I mean, but with injuries, it's difficult. Like what I always say, and I don't know if this, maybe I just made myself believe this. Obviously, there's a scheme, there's play calling and stuff for defense. But to me, it's always been defense is based off trust and instinct. And you need to be able to have a cohesive unit of talented players to be able to have an effective defense. And what the Cardinals didn't have last year was any sort of momentum, because Walton will be out 1 week, Garrett Williams will be out the next week. Then Will Johnson would be out. And then Jalen Thompson would be out. And then Mac Wilson. It's just, it's not one guy. It's a bunch of different guys at a bunch of different positions. Offensively, Kyle Shanahan's a perfect example of this. You can scheme an offense to be good if your top two wide receivers are bad, if your top two wide receivers are out. Defensively, you've got a lot less to hide behind. So I think that he should get a pass more than Drew Petzing last year almost. It's close because it's both, but yeah, listen, I think it's going to be better than it was last year. It's going to look more schematic than it did last year, where they were just running around like their head was on fire.
I still love Nick Rawless. I think we're in for a bounce back year defensively. What that looks like, I don't know. Could they be a top half defense? That'd be a massive jump for where they were last year. Yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo, some thoughts that potentially he could be headed to Arizona. Does that make, I mean, truly, does this make any sense? Let's talk about that next. Clancy, what is that? Is that a dog throwing up?
It's a fake barf sound, bro.
Hurling.
Yeah, it's guttural. It's a guttural hurling. That's right.
Yeah.
It's like a food poisoning barf.
So there have been reports from various different people about the viability of Jimmy Garoppolo in Arizona. I'm going to be honest with you. It just doesn't make any sense, but I want to throw this take out before someone takes it. Is this just Mike LaFleur's Jacoby Brissett, but it's his, like it's his guy, both guys basic. Like when I say that is, what's the difference between Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett? Not much. Is this just Mike LaFleur's guy that knows his offense, that he feels like he can trust more than Jimmy Garoppolo to do so? If not, someone else explain to me what the rationale would be to, I'm assuming, get rid of Jacoby Brissett or make him your backup quarterback just to have Jimmy Garoppolo run the show.
Go ahead, Clancy. You were queasy. You were queasy, so we have to know.
Yeah, you were queasy. Did you finish throwing up?
He hasn't started a full season since 2019. He hasn't played a meaningful down since he sneezed on the field in like week 3 with the Raiders and was hurt the rest of the year. This guy is a Sam Bradford Ponzi scheme. It's like, why would you ever? Now, here's the thing. He knows his offense back from San Francisco when he was working around the offense. He's been the backup the last 2 years for the Rams. Okay. My question is, gentlemen, why would he want to come here? Or is he going to get a conversation like, hey, man, you're going to start week 1? Like, is that, if they choose Jimmy,
I don't know.
You're going to do that? He's going to get hurt in 4 weeks, and then you're running with me at quarterback? That's how you waste a season when you need to build momentum in other spots. Quarterback isn't going to be great. Okay. It's not going to be great this year. And that's fine. That's fine. Everything else needs to get incrementally better. And you can do that if you're looking at it through a different lens. Like, the defense can still be good if your quarterback play is a little bit less than adequate. You try to sell the fan base Jimmy Garoppolo, they're going to be relegated to AAA.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. I hope that the Cardinals do not try to get on that train. Like, that to me, if I got Jimmy and I got Jacoby, I'm going the more durable option, and that's Jacoby. I just don't see it. What's scary is there's like this weird relationship, right? It's like, Sean McVay talked to Matt Stafford more, and those guys were each other's guys. Mike LaFleur and Jimmy sure as heck talked to each other more because they were essentially both the number 2 guys. And so there's this like continuity there in terms of like, Jimmy's my guy because I spent a lot of time with him, in meeting rooms and things like that. The Cardinals can't do that. That will be the one thing that I think, like Clancy said, you try to sell that to the fan base, you try to sell that to the rest of the league, is like, oh, we're going to pair up and we're going to go and do this thing. That ain't it. I wouldn't, if I've got Jacoby in my room, I'd much rather run it with Jacoby, just off of durability alone. And I think you be in a better situation.
How does Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. feel about that? Like, there was a legitimate argument with Kyler, right? Because you could say, well, Kyler Murray's definitely the better quarterback. Maybe he's got some inconsistency, but he's a playmaker. Like, I get that. But again, what is the difference between Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo besides one guy gets hurt far more often than the other? And one guy does have proven success that even though they were throwing the ball a lot, he could get the ball to them. And Jamil, here's the other thing. I've been wanting to ask you this for a long time. How much does it actually matter that you're in someone's system? Like, for the longest time, it was like, you got to bring Breece Hall here because he knows Mike LaFleur's system. Give Jacoby Brissett a full, like, if we want to go the Jacoby Brissett route, give him the full training camp, OTAs, preseason, regular season. How much of there is a difference? Is that overrated, or am I doing too much?
When it's a young quarterback, I think it matters. But listen, Jacoby has been in the league. I don't know what year this is for Jacoby.
I think year 11 next year.
All right. Yeah, he's seen it all, right? This is a guy that was coached under Bill Belichick, spent time in the room with Tom Brady, spent time in the room with yours truly as well. And so I'm not biased in terms, I'm really speaking logistically. Jacoby can pick up any offense in an offseason. The concepts are the same. It's just terminology. And I believe that, he is able to kind of adapt and function. Jimmy, look, sure. The thing about Jimmy is we've seen that look in his eye when things are going wrong. And if you're the Cardinals, you cannot afford to put him on the field. And when things go wrong, it's a snowball effect, and it's just the air has taken out of the building. I think Cardinals fans would much rather have Jacoby, and what they saw last year. And he has a much longer leash in terms of him making mistakes than a Jimmy Garoppolo would. The notion around Jimmy Garoppolo is just not, I think his time as a starter has came and went.
Yeah.
Also, like, I think Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't want to be a starter anymore. Like, Clancy brought this up. This was a great point by Clancy. It should have been made earlier. Was, why does he want to be here? He's in LA. He's this dude that is already had his fun as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, the days, why would he come to Arizona? He gets to be the backup quarterback to Matt Stafford. Like, where is this for him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, yeah. So even if Matt Stafford gets hurt, okay, heaven forbid, you never want anybody to get injured, but say Matt Stafford gets hurt.
Yeah.
What offense would you rather run, Buckaroo, Puka, and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and that offensive line and that defense with Trent McDuffie now? Yup. Absolutely. I'd much rather be there. with Sean McVay. If he ever wants to get into coaching, you want to be around Sean McVay as much as possible. I'm sure Jimmy G will be a model or something at the end of it. It's bull crap. But everything that people bitched about Kyler Murray, Jacoby or Jimmy Garoppolo is worse at. He gets hurt more. He doesn't like taking hits more. He doesn't run the ball at all. And while he was wildly efficient, he was able to throw the ball down the field. When he was with San Francisco, he was a good quarterback. Okay, he was a good quarterback. But if a gust of wind swirls, his leg falls off. And I know that football's difficult. Okay, I know, and I never fault guys for getting injured because, Jamil, I don't know how offensive linemen's ankles don't break every snap. Like, truly, I don't understand that. I don't wish it upon anybody. But he's oft injured significantly more than he plays. The only thing that can't happen this year, the only thing, I don't care if it's Malik Willis, I don't care if it's Jacoby, I don't care if it's Jimmy Garoppolo starting week 1, is you can't have your starting quarterback get hurt and have an offense that does not move the ball, because that is the one thing that will derail everything. It derails quite literally all the growth possible. So why would you put yourself in that situation with a dude that gets injured so much?
And also, like, there are teams that need a quarterback out there. There's a reason why no one's saying Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be our guy next season. And so, the Cardinals need to just focus on what you got and focus on trying to find the next guy, because I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo, and this is not a knock on Jimmy, he's just not a hot commodity in terms of a starting quarterback these days.
Now, let's do the brain. Well, you don't even know what's coming here, Benjamin. Funny enough, in 16, whatever Deflategate was, when you were there, was it 2016?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 2016 because the Cardinals,
when they deflated the balls, Jamil helped them.
I don't know. Listen.
Black trucks, bro. What are you doing? We all get back together. You're trying to get people in
SUVs.
trouble. What are we doing here, guy? Jimmy Garoppolo started 2.5 games. He didn't start all 4. He got hurt. I think he took something in the rib cage. He went down on his shoulder and he was out. Jacoby Brissett won that 3rd and 4th game, I think, or the 4th game when they started 4-0 without Tom Brady. He then got traded to the 49ers and it was immediately the starter. Is that the Malik Willis train that people are seeing that could possibly happen? Or is that Kyle Shanahan be like, dude, I don't care. Give me anybody. I'm bored. Just give me anybody. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to put him in the pocket. We're going to run 6 plays, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a Kyle Shanahan thing. I think you can
sample size just like Malik Willis.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Doesn't cost a 2nd round pick though. 2nd round pick or $20 or $44 million with Malik Willis.
What would you do, Ben?
I'd sign Malik Willis.
Yeah, of course
you would.
Because Jamil, this is your take that I hopped on, and then you just abandoned it.
I'm not abandoning it. I still think it would be fun. I still think it would be fun. I still want to see it happen. I think the sample size that we got is small. I liked what I saw. I liked the ball placement. The thing about it is the Packers have a really good offensive line. They've always blocked relatively well. And so you got to think about, if the Cardinals go and they draft an offensive lineman and they're serious about it, then I get it. Bring Malik Willis in, but don't bring him in and say he's going to save the day if you don't address up front.
Let's end the show like this. By next Tuesday, when we do the show again, who will be the Arizona Cardinals starting quarterback going into training camp?
It's only 5 days.
Well, that's when free agency begins.
Yeah, but I don't.
I'm hinting at Malik Willis, Clancy. If it wasn't obvious.
Well, yeah.
I do think Malik Willis will be a Cardinal.
If the number comes down and it's $30 million guaranteed over 2 years, you front load it, you cut him after this year if it doesn't work. With all of the guys, so many offensive linemen are getting cut. It's insane. Another Alex Cappa just got cut. I know he's not top tier, but like the veteran nature, you could quite literally cut Evan Brown, save $5 million, supplant him with a good left guard, a veteran left guard, move Isaiah Adams to 2nd on the depth chart, sign another right guard. And then, if they've got money, bring Malik Willis. But dude, it doesn't. I'd rather allocate the funds elsewhere. So I'm going to say TBD. I'm going to say 27-21. I can do it. I don't care. There's no rules apparently.
I like it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I think Malik Willis is going to be the starter, and I think it's going to be a fine deal that isn't going to harm the Cardinals either way. Either he's terrible or he's great. There's no way you could be mid with it. I don't think you could be mid with this offense.
Yeah, but to the point, real quick, they got to do it quick. Like you need to check that box
immediately.
Check the box. Are you going to trade Jacoby? Is he going to be with the Jets? You need to get that. When free agent starts, the quarterback cannot be the question.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be it's going to be the deal's already going to be done when the time hits. I think it's 1 p.m. But they're going to have to wait that courtesy hour to make it seem like there was no tampering being done in reality.
Sure.
Hey, Jamil, is everyone tampering?
I mean, hey, listen, I don't know.
Black trucks, what are we doing, bro? That's
he was going to say it. He saw the SUVs outside.
I don't know. I don't know.
Jeez. Roger Goodell's social security number and the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping. Thanks for tuning in to the Cardinals Squad Show with us. Hopefully Jamil is here next week and we don't have to replace him with Donnie because the black SUVs got him. Do us a favor, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Cardinals Squad Show. Also, we're seeing the numbers. You guys are listening and tuning into the show. Thank you so much for doing that. I was looking those over today. Pretty awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next Tuesday at 4 p.m. See ya.